You out with.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. This is Rison High School. You familiar with Rison?
I am.
Okay.
I remember Rison.
So I actually went to Rison in elementary and junior high part of it.
No, you're not in this picture, though.
No, that's my dad right there. That's my dad. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad would have graduated at Rison in 43, but he quit high school after the 11th grade and joined the Marines during World War II. So he got his GED while he was in the military. Okay, there's a good picture right there.
That's a great picture, yes.
And Rison and Lincoln were big-time rivals.
I remember that.
They're separated by the railroad. Okay. This is same picture twice, I think. If you ever heard of Hub Mahan?
I have not.
Okay, he was when he was hired like in the 1930s maybe. This building was known as the Dallas YMCA.
The Dallas
where Jackson Way Baptist is?
Yes.
Okay, right behind it, there used to be an old gymnasium there.
Yes.
This was it. And this is Coach Mahan here. He was a playing coach on their mill team. The mill hired him. He worked for the mill, and he organized their baseball teams, but he played on their team. And then they played Lincoln and Merrimack and all those others, okay?
Okay.
So
that's 1927 or 28 there.
Oh, does it say anything?
Yes, sir, in that bottom right-hand corner.
So he came in 28, okay. Does that 27? There's 2 copies of that for you. All right, and I don't know, my granddaddy used to tell me about some of these people in here, but they don't have their first names, but I know some of them.
Well, it has the initial, so someone will know. And then the Bat Boy was C Scripture, so there's still some scriptures around town today.
Yeah, well, one of the scriptures is who gave me some of this, probably his cousin.
Okay.
All right, now that's Houston Goodson.
Yeah, didn't he have the hardware store?
He did.
The variety store.
Down at 5 Points. Okay. All right. I know history pretty good. I don't know it great, but as far as people here, because I'm one of the few that's born here.
Yeah, you're from Huntsville.
Yeah. And like I said, my parents were born here. So there's some familiar names there that my granddad used to tell me about. And most of these people lived over in the, you know what I mean by Dallasville?
Yes, sir, Dallas, Lincoln.
I was born in Dallasville. Born on Humes Avenue.
Yeah. Okay.
And, okay. Now, I don't know where this picture came from. There's nothing on the back. But I'm going to guess that's 1930s Rison School. Rison was grades 1 through 12 till Lee was built. Okay. So I'm guessing that's, I don't know.
They're holding an A up for some reason.
They're about probably class A, like first grade A, second grade, first grade B, like that.
So that building, oh, that's the old red brick Rison building.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the old one. Okay. Now this one is Optimus Park, and you know where Optimus Park is.
Yes, sir,
today,
I do.
but it used to be a wooden fence. Okay. Nothing on the back there, but I'm going to guess that team there was probably in the 30s or early 40s. All right.
All right. I love it.
All right. This is the same thing. I looked through here, and I didn't see my dad or any of his friends in this picture.
That's a double cola billboard back there.
Oh, yeah, they had all those. And see, for a while, I lived right next to Optimus Park. And you might remember, I don't know, I was a coach at Huntsville High for 18 years. And then I was the first director of the Huntsville Sports Commission.
Okay.
Mark Russell has that job now?
Yes.
Okay. And then Mayor Spencer moved me to Park and Rec.
Okay.
So I was at Park and Rec for, for
some years,
8 years, yeah. Okay. These faces are not real familiar.
You know what? Someone on Huntsville Revisited will know them.
That's what I'm saying. You post them, somebody will get you up.
They're going to say, that's my daddy, my granddaddy.
Or my uncle or somebody.
And then that's the Rison I remember.
Yeah, that's it. And see, the border around, a lot of the brickwork around it was got red brick. And I don't know what you call this, stucco or whatever it was. But,
oh, so they covered it. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have an old picture, and it was red brick. But I remember when it looked like that.
All right, now I've got this picture at home. It's the reason I'm giving it to you. This is Rison. I'm going to guess this is probably like 41.
It says 41.
Okay.
Rison High, 19.
There's my uncle.
Now, what was his name?
Herman Chisholm. Okay. There is Bill Rice. His kids still live here. There's a guy named Q.T. Cates. He's deceased. I think his family's all deceased now. There was the coach, Richardson. Let's see. There's my dad right there, Carlos, C-A-R-L-O-S, Carlos Patterson. Okay. All right. I've got a couple
I love
of
it.
that.
I love it. I love it.
All right. This is another Rison team. I'm going to say this is probably 1940 because my dad wasn't here in 42. He quit, did not graduate with his class, went to the Marines in the middle of the war.
Right.
Okay, this is my dad, number 2.
So another kid has his number.
Carlos Patterson, this is him here now. There's his friend Q.T. Cates. I think that is. There's Bill Rice again. Kind of some of the same people. That's probably a year before that one, but I'm not positive. Okay, that's the Optimus Park.
Yeah, you can tell by the fencing as well.
There, yeah. I mean, I got a lot of history at Optimus Park. All right, this is Coach Myhan, Coach H.E. Myhan. They called him Hub. I think Hubbard was his first name. They called him Hub. This is Rison Jr. High, and I'm guessing this is probably the mid-50s.
Okay.
All right, because I eventually became his bat boy a few years after this. When I was like 8, 9 years old, I did that for him for 3 years until it interfered with my Little League ball, and I couldn't be 2 places at once. But that's at Optimus Park, and they had the building of. If you've been by Optimus Park a few times, when I was there, we did a renovation of the park, painting and upgrading and everything. If you look at the sign up on there, you can read it on the interstate. It's a red sign up there.
Yes, I've seen it.
And we said it founded. We did retro lettering on that sign. That was the type of print people had back in the 20s. When
that was intentional.
So that was the reason we did that. Okay. All right. This is the same coach, Coach Richardson, and I think this is probably
like someone's house.
Yeah, it's I don't know whose house that would be, but the school sat on the corner of Oakwood and Andrew Jackson.
Yes.
But it sat over close to Andrew Jackson. Because today, if you know where the fire station is, the fire station was more or less the playground for the school.
I remember.
And the school was pushed over there. So they tore that thing down, I guess, in the 80s. They were using it for dances and dance classes and stuff like that. And
then when they started the building
I'm guessing here, I don't know.
Those helmets.
30s, late 30s or so on. All right, now here's a good one. Here's a basketball team. They look like a dance routine.
Right. The 1930s, 20s, and 30s, the guys' basketball teams loved that pose for some reason.
Yeah, and that's there's probably, like I said, there's some of them had some writing on the back. I'm not sure where that fell off of. Here is some teachers that were at Rison during, I'm going to say 40s and maybe up into the early 60s. This is Edith Womack. She was my 2nd grade teacher. This lady was a teacher there, but I never was in her class. But
are they related?
Her and him, that's husband and wife, I'm pretty sure. Seemed like he was like a 6th grade, 7th grade social studies teacher. She was like a 2nd or 3rd grade elementary. She was there a long time. Miss Womack is here twice. If you look at her.
I see.
Okay, and I can't remember these over here. This is just a little collage of pictures. That shows 1954-55, which would have been about right, because I was born in 49, and I would have started there about 55 or 56.
Okay. The former principal at Rison was our principal at Colonial Hills when I was there, Mr. Jones.
I knew him. He was my junior high principal.
Okay.
Before I went to Chapman, okay? See, I went to Chapman in the 6th and the 9th. My 6th grade year, they opened Chapman Elementary, but stopped at grade 6.
Okay.
They sent us back to Rison. I went there 7th and 8th, and then 7 and 8, and then so they built the junior high portion. Now, this is the icon of the community back in the 20s up until the 50s. This is
Mr. Cecil Fain.
I'm sure you know about him.
I know about him, yeah. And then we've got a road named in his honor.
Yeah. Well, they, this is the Rison alumni, and my mother was heavily involved in this. They did something every year at their reunion to honor a former teacher or a former administrator. And Mr. Fain, boy, I think he retired from Whitesburg Junior High. But he was something else. He was a great tennis player, but he was a leader in the community. And he held that Rison and Dallas connection together for many, many years. Many, many years. Now, here's the class of 35 at Rison. And
I've gone to 2 of their reunions.
I used to go to it when my mother was alive. Are they even still doing it?
It's been many, many years. The last one I went to was at Jackson Way Baptist Church.
Yeah.
And you know Jim McBride?
Yeah.
He was there the last one I went to.
Well, Jim, he was 3 years ahead of me. So when I went, the year he graduated, like in May of '65, I entered in September of '65.
Okay.
So, but I know him well.
Yeah.
I mean,
great singer and songwriter. Yeah.
He's a famous person.
Yeah, he's music.
Here's some right here. There's some list of people previously honored by the reunion committees.
There's that Mahan name and Mahan Lawler. Is that the Lawler restaurant people?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It could be, but I doubt it. Okay. Never heard that. And here's your graduating class of 35. And
so that would have been a 50-year reunion.
That was their 50th reunion, and they were honoring him. And I don't know if there's anything else over here. No, there's some trivia for you if you want to look
at that. That's trivia there. That overflow crowd at the Stars game.
Yep. It's amazing what you do here. It is amazing. This came off the back of one of the pictures, and I don't know. I'm going to leave it with you, and if you don't need it, you throw it away or whatever. This is the teacher that put it together. Let's go back to, I don't know, Miss Hodge. Who was that person?
Would that be the picture with the teachers?
No, there's too many names on there for that. Anyway, you might want to know. I don't know whether to tell you this or not because you may think I'm crazy, but I was Jim Batson's high school football coach.
Was he any good?
Yeah, he was real good.
I know. Well, Jim looks like he could still suit up and play.
Well, he literally, his motor never quit running. And that's the reason he is so successful as an adult. Because he's always got new projects.
Yeah, he's good, man.
He makes money off of different things. Some of them I know he don't make money on. All right, here is, this is one of the boards that came off of this.
And then I remember it looking like that.
Yeah.
If you ever come across anything of Optimist history relating to the Negro Leagues, I would love to have copies of some of that. I used
to go over there, and there would be some games. If you go up Andrew Jackson and you count, you leave the intersection of Oakwood, and you curve to the right, go to the right, start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. We lived for a while in the 4th house.
Yeah.
And I could walk out of my back door and walk into the parking lot of Optimist Park. So I've been over there chasing foul balls and being bat boys and things for different teams for Coach Mahan. But just, there was some Negro Leagues that played over there. The Birmingham Black Barons used to play games here. And, sometimes I can't remember exactly, how old I was, but in that probably 10 to 15-year-old age group, But several good good events over there. And my dad was a home builder. Mm-hmm. So I lived in 6 houses from Humes Avenue to Epworth Drive.
Right. All in the same neighborhood, though.
Yeah, mm-hmm. He was building, and he owned the dry cleaners and making a decent living. And then he got the bug to try to learn to build, and he started building houses and eventually sold the dry cleaners. And he moved us, like we'd be in a house, and people would be looking for a house, and they liked our house. Yeah. So he would sell it, make a profit, and build us a bigger house.
I love it. Now, what was the name of the dry cleaners?
It was Fifth Street Cleaners before it was Andrew Jackson. That was Fifth Street.
Right. Yeah, because the church was Fifth Street Baptist.
Yep. And I later went there as an adult. I grew up Church of Christ, but I married first marriage. I married a lady from Florence that was Baptist. So we went there for a while, and then we got the idea that we were at Jackson Way and more or less the Lehigh Zone, and my kids were going to school out at Riverton. And so when they were going to go to Huntsville High with me, and so I wanted to get them acquainted with people before they got to high school because they weren't going to the feeder school. So we changed the First Baptist so they could meet some kids over there.
Yeah. Tell me this, related to those schools, 1963, were you teaching then?
63? No, I didn't get out of high school to 68.
So in 63, what school were you at?
Rison.
So you were there when Veronica Pearson?
Well, think about this. Greg Patterson and Veronica Pearson. And we sat alphabetically. Several of the classes, she sat next to me.
What are some of your memories of her?
She was very polite, very polite. You could tell she was anxious, nervous, but everybody was. Yeah. Because we went to go to school, and there's highway patrol cars and police cars lined up all up down Oakwood Avenue, parked around the school, and there, no one knew what was going to happen. Right. No one knew how people were going to react. Right. But I think more than likely, I don't have this to prove, I think those girls and boys were handpicked to go in there to begin with, and she was a good one.
Right. Now, were you, I know you said you were anxious, but were you afraid?
No, I wasn't afraid. It's just a totally different look. I think I was in the 8th grade, okay? And then the next year went to Chapman, and basically the same students. Yeah. And then my 10th grade year, I went to Lee, but they hadn't really gone big on the integration yet. But my 11th grade year, you ever heard of Porter Moore?
Yes, sir.
I was his buddy.
Okay. And now he could run.
He used to catch my passes. I was a quarterback, and he was a wide receiver, and I got to know.
Did he run track as well?
Yeah.
All around athlete.
We ran the relay.
And
then look at my body weight, you wouldn't think I was a sprinter, but I ran first on the relay. He ran last.
Wow.
And that was because I was short, I could get out of the blocks better than him. Yeah. But we always got him on the 440 relay. We got him a running start, the men the last leg. Everybody had a running start except the first person. Right. And we won a lot of meets, with him. Yes, sir. Basically, cleaning it up at the end. But the summer before we went into that 11th grade year, I was down at the community center at Big Spring Park in the gym playing pickup basketball, and I had on a pair of shorts that said Lee football. Now, Porter was not shy, he was extremely shy. And he eased over next to me and said, "Do you go to Lee?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And he said, "I'm going to be coming there this year." And I said, "Okay." So a couple of months later, we go to our first day of practice at Lee in August, and we walk in, and we've got like 35, 40 on the varsity, and we've got about 4 or 5 minority kids that were coming to Lee to play football for the first time. Yeah. And Porter looked around that room, and you could tell he was nervous, and he came over and stood next to me because I was the only person in that room that he had ever really met before that day.
Love it.
And so we were teammates that year. And then at the end of my junior year, my parents bought me a car. And so there was many times our senior year I took him home up to Edmonton Heights.
Yeah.
And we actually went on one football recruiting trip together. Sure did. UT Martin.
And is that where you ended up going?
No, we both got offered, but we didn't go.
Okay.
And then I lost touch with Porter. He just pretty much went into the military right after high school. And he came back and played some football at A&M, when he was a little bit older. And then I was 28 years old, living in Coleman, coaching in Coleman. And my mother called me and said Porter Moore died. He was 28, had some kind of blood clot, whatever, in his heart. Yeah. And I don't think anybody knew anything about it. Right. But we were great friends.
Well, thank you for sharing that story. Appreciate that.